She left her Lexus parked in front of my tractor for the third time that week, blocking my only path to the field in the middle of peak harvest. I remember standing there, coffee in hand, just staring at it like, really? Again, when I asked her as politely as I could muster to move it, she just cocked her head, gave me that little smirk, and said, "It's just a tractor, not a tank." You know what I mean? That kind of attitude. So I did what any sane farmer would do. Hitched her luxury ride to my John Deere. Odar rolled through her traffic cones and dragged that silver Lexus halfway into the soybean rows with Willie Nelson blaring from the cab. And let me tell you, the whole neighborhood was out on their porches filming, popcorn in hand, like it was Saturday night at the movies. But honestly, that wasn't the real revenge. No, that part came later when she tried to press charges and found out who I really was. Let me back up a second. My name's Tom, and for 20 years I've worked this 30-acre patch just outside town. It's not a hobby farm. This land is my job, my sanity, my entire life. Things started to go sideways when Maple Ridge Estates cropped up at my north fence. I figured it'd be retirees, maybe a few gardeners. Then I met Karen. You can picture her athleisure Bluetooth always clutching some HOA handbook like it's the Constitution. First day, she tells me I need to trim my hedges on the shared line. I tell her, those are my hedges on my side. Maybe pin that idea on your Pinterest board. I thought that was the end of it. Oh man, was I wrong. So there I am, early morning, open the barn doors, and her Lexus is blocking my tractor. Not beside it, not near it, just right in front bumper, almost kissing the loader. And this is a narrow gravel road, private, not even remotely public. There's a big old sign that says so. I left a note polite with my name and number. 15 minutes later, I hear shouting. It's Karen, yoga pose of judgment, waving my note and yelling, "You don't own the road, cowboy." I point to the boundary stone, but she rips up my note and peels out in a cloud of dust. Next morning, she's back, this time with orange traffic cones around her car and a sign on the dash that says Authorized HOA Vehicle. Temporary parking. I swear I almost spit out my coffee laughing. Turns out she'd just become interim HOA president. Called the HOA office, and they said she was reassessing boundaries, which is code for good luck, you're on your own. Still, I try again, ask her politely to move, and she acts like I'm asking for her bank info. I'm busy. You'll live. Slammed her door like she was winning some kind of drama award. Thursday rolls around. I got a semi-load of alfalfa to move before a rainstorm crew's on standby, and there it is, her Lexus front and center again. No cones, no notes, just defiance. I was done being angry. I was surgical. I chained up her car, rolled it deep into the field, and my neighbor Doug, sweet tea in hand, hollered, "Oh, she's gonna cry." By the time I'd parked her Lexus between the rows, half the neighborhood was watching. When Karen got back that evening, she screamed so loud I bet she startled the coyotes 2 miles off. Demanded I return her car, so I handed her a tow company business card. Field recovery's not in my job description, I told her. She threatened to call the cops. I handed her my phone. The sheriff showed up, took one look, laughed, and told her she was on my property. She looked like someone stole her birthday. But that wasn't even the start. The very next day, Karen tried to get clever. Turns out I'm not just a farmer. I'm also the county's rural land assessor. I have a say in zoning permits and land use. The look on her face when she found that out, priceless. Next thing I know, my private property sign is gone, screws, and all posts snapped clean. Judging by the tire marks, I had a pretty good idea who took it. I wasn't about to go storming over. Instead, I pulled out my folder of county paperwork and started documenting every violation she'd racked up. Around then, Doug rolls up on his ATV, tells me Karen's got a landscaping crew measuring out her backyard. The county's got strict rules about runoff and setbacks, especially near farmland. If she built anything big without approval, she was in my crosshairs jurisdiction and all. I took photos, drafted a zoning report, and decided to give her one last chance. I showed up at her door badge, clipped to my flannel folder in hand. She answered, spotted the badge, and got real polite real fast. I explained the situation, pointed to the zoning codes. She called my bluff, said she'd get the HOA attorney. You do that, I told her, but you might want to hold off on that tennis court. She slammed the door, but I knew the wheels were turning. By the next day, HOA flyers were stapled to my barn wall, claiming I was violating made-up rules, chemical runoff, unauthorized farming near the residential line, all signed by Karen, interim president. It was so ridiculous, I laughed out loud. Then my ranch hand, Javier, tells me she's yelling at him through the fence, accusing him of running a commercial site. It was like someone moving next to a rooster and then complaining about the crowing. I called the sheriff again, this time for harassment. Deputy Hollis, a big guy with a dry sense of humor, shows up, takes one look at the flyers and says, "She really put HOA flyers on your barn." Took photos, promised a warning, and mentioned that other neighbors had their own Karen stories, noise complaints about barbecues, tree branches, you name it. That night, as I'm on the porch with my iced tea, Karen's pacing her yard phone glued to her ear, looking like she's trying to land a helicopter with hand signals. Then a truck from the county compliance office shows up and starts measuring her yard. She looked like she'd bitten into a lemon. The officer ignored her ranting, took her notes, and left. Karen had poked the bear one too many times. The real storm was coming. Next day, she disappears, no sign of her usual morning routines, but I knew better than to relax. Doug comes by with a root beer and a fresh scoop. Karen's calling emergency HOA meetings to get my land declared a community nuisance zone. She wants to circulate petitions, pressure the county to regulate my farm dust, noise, traffic, the whole bit. I laughed. She was trying to rewrite geography. But I had the ace. I dug out the master parcel maps, color-coded, showing her lot butting up against a no-construction buffer. She'd staked out a patio right on that line. One more shovel and she'd be in violation. I sent the maps and a notice to the compliance office, kept it factual. No personal beef, just facts. Didn't want to win by bureaucracy, but sometimes you gotta fight fire with paperwork. Later at the feed store, I overheard two HOA folks talking. Brad, the golf shirt guy, griping about how Karen lied at the board meeting, claimed she had permission for her project and my road wasn't private. His wife works at county records. She checked and found nothing. That was my cue. Next day, I dropped off the real access agreement at the HOA board's office. Let them know if they pushed further, I'd take legal action as a county agent, not just a neighbor. Faces went pale. Then unexpectedly, a young couple from the far end of the neighborhood showed up with brownies. Karen had tried to scare them into signing her petition by claiming I was putting in a compost facility. They just wanted to apologize for all the drama. I gave them a tour of the farm. Not everyone in Maple Ridge was nuts. Some just needed the truth. But the chaos wasn't done. Two unmarked county trucks showed up at Karen's the next morning, spent an hour measuring her backyard, then slapped a red stop work notice on her sliding glass door. Doug confirmed it, immediate cease and desist. Instead of backing off, Karen doubled down. She held a front yard rally with lemonade clipboards, even balloons, ranting about tractors and community safety. But as she riled up her followers, a news van rolled up Channel 7 had caught wind of her violations. Suddenly, she was on camera, neighbors whispering support vanishing. Phil, a retired mechanic, brought me cookies just to say thanks for standing up to her. Karen's grievance against me with the HOA was all bark, no bite. They had no jurisdiction. I sent my rebuttal with satellite images and code citations just to keep it official. But she wasn't done. She set up a street stand, handing out flyers accusing me of industrial expansion. I didn't bite. Instead, I called my cousin Marlene at the age department. Her guy Clayton showed up, handed Karen a stern letter about spreading false claims against licensed farms. She ripped up her own flyer right there and slammed her door. After that, things finally went quiet. The neighborhood relaxed, people waved kids, rode bikes again. But Karen wasn't gone, she was regrouping. That Saturday, 3 folks showed up, one in a suit claiming to be property valuation officers sent by the HOA. Said they were checking for proximity standards. I laughed. There's no such law. I told them to leave, reminded them this was private property. Deputy Hollis logged an official complaint for overreach. Then a real curveball. A letter from the county commissioner. Due to multiple citizen complaints, my property was up for review. Karen had finally managed to push things up a notch. I wasn't worried. I had every permit, tax, doc, and record in a binder thick as a Bible. But that night, walking my fence line, I found my no trespassing sign cut down, wire slashed. Reviewed the footage blurry, but I had my suspicions. A few days before the review, Karen's husband showed up. He apologized, said he'd been gone on business, came home to a mess. Promised to pull her from the HOA, maybe even get her some help. For the first time, I felt like there might be a way out of this mess. The county review came and went. Inspector shook my hand, told me everything was in perfect order. Karen resigned as HOA president, personal reasons. The lawn signs disappeared. The air changed. Even the board invited me to help mediate buffer discussions. Progress, not peace, but progress. And as for me, well, I'm still here, tractor ready by the barn, watching the sun rise over fields that'll outlast any HOA drama, waiting to see what storm blows in next. You tell me, was I wrong to stand my ground, or does respecting your neighbors sometimes mean not backing down? Let me know in the comments, because out here the lines we draw matter, and it's time more people remembered that.